If New York's power grid cannot handle New Yorkers keeping our air conditioning below 78 degrees, then the solution is to improve the power grid. I'm not telling New Yorkers to suffer by keeping our apartment at 78 degrees. Of course, socialist Mamdani thinks this way because socialists don't believe in innovation. He's just so un-American.
Oh no! New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani is asking New Yorkers to keep their thermostat at 78 degrees? Well, that must mean he's a socialist, right? I mean, only a socialist would ask citizens to limit their electrical consumption to avoid overloading the electrical grid. Are you sure? Because if that's the case, then we have a Texas-sized socialist, well, in Texas. Let this little headline roll around your head for just a moment. This is what Texas's ERCOT recommended. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. ERCOT, the Electric Reliability Council of Texas, an organization overseen by the Public Utility Commission of Texas, whose commissioner is appointed by none other than Texas Governor Greg Abbott, gave the very same recommendation back in 2022 when Texas was about to experience record-breaking heat. So if this is socialism, then congratulations, Texas. You're the largest socialist state in the Union. Or maybe, just maybe, you're just a bunch of hysterical hypocrites who have no idea how socialism works and are just terrified that equality and common sense are knocking at your door.
Well, welcome back to this channel. Have you noticed how politics can sometimes produce the biggest cases of irony? Well, this is one of those moments that has left many people shaking their heads and laughing at the same time. Republicans spent days attacking Zohran Mamdani after he suggested that New Yorkers set their thermostats to 78 degrees during an extreme heat wave to help reduce pressure on the power grid and conserve energy. But we have critics who immediately labeled the idea socialist, with some commentators portraying it as another example of government trying to tell people how to live. But then something unexpected happened. Let's get into these remaining clips. I'll be back.
Did you guys see Mamdani made a tweet saying that everyone should, yo, who's in New York and who has their thermostats to 78 degrees? That shit was crazy. I thought it was fake. I'm like, there's no way, bro. Yo, chat, if you're in New York, put your shit to 78 degrees right now. That shit was crazy. I'm like, what?
Republican attacks on Zohran Mamdani for asking New Yorkers to conserve energies during a heat wave have backfired on Donald Trump, as his administration is now asking the same thing. Now, if you missed it, Zohran Mamdani recently asked New Yorkers to keep their air conditioners set at 78 degrees. It will keep them comfortable and not overload the grid, so everybody has power and everybody can stay cool. Well, Republicans immediately jumped on it, saying that this is what socialism looks like. This is what it looks like under communism rule. And they told Mamdani, I'm going to keep my thermostat up. Well, today, the Trump administration is now asking PJM, which is the largest power grid in the country, to pull back, to scale back its energy it's providing to prevent a blackout. It is guilty of the same exact thing. It took all of 2 days for these attacks on Mamdani to completely backfire on Donald Trump. And while this is actually the right thing to do by the Trump administration, it is wild that the very attacks Republicans...
Don't you dare touch that temperature gauge. Don't do it. You're going to keep it at 78 degrees and like it. And like it. Our favorite mayor of New York City is telling businesses now, you keep your temperature stat at 78 degrees to help the power grid. Because I guess New York City's having a heat wave. I don't know. I live in Vegas. We have a heat wave for 7 months out of the year. But I guess New York City, you keep your temperature gauge 78 degrees, as per the mayor of New York City. And that's it. We don't want to see 77. We don't want to see 75. We want 78. Now, he's getting criticism over this, okay? Like, who is he to tell us where we should keep our temperature gauge? But what do you guys think? Did the mayor go too far by telling the businesses this? You let me know in the comments. I'm not going to put stuff in your mind. You let me know what's in your mind. Is the mayor going too far? You let me know in the comments.
So we have reports which began circulating that officials connected to Donald Trump's administration were encouraging Americans to do essentially the same thing during periods of high electricity demand. At the same time, people pointed out that Texas, under Republican Governor Greg Abbott, has repeatedly asked residents to voluntarily conserve electricity during extreme weather by adjusting thermostats and reducing energy use. Suddenly, the criticism did not seem quite so straightforward. So this situation raises an interesting question, that if encouraging voluntary energy conservation is considered common sense in one state, why is it suddenly unacceptable somewhere else? Shouldn't the same standard apply regardless of which political party is making the recommendation? So to be fair, asking people to set their thermostats to 78 degrees during periods of extreme demand is not a brand new idea. Utility companies and state governments across the United States, regardless of political leadership, have often encouraged residents to reduce electricity consumption during heat waves to help prevent strain on the electrical grid. So perhaps this should not be viewed as a Republican idea or a Democratic idea. It is more accurately an emergency energy management strategy that has been used in different parts of the country. And what many observers found amusing was not necessarily the recommendation itself. It was the speed with which political opponents rushed to mock the suggestion before realizing that similar advice had already been given by leaders they support. So that's where the conversation shifted from energy conversation to political consistency. And now social media quickly filled the side-by-side examples showing officials from different political backgrounds making nearly identical requests. The comparison sparked debates about whether people are reacting to the actual policy or simply reacting to who delivers the message. And that's an important distinction. So in today's political climate, it sometimes feels as though an idea is judged less on its merits and more on the identity of the person presenting it. And if someone from one political party proposes something, it is automatically dismissed. Yet if someone from another party makes a nearly identical proposal, it may suddenly be considered reasonable. So that kind of inconsistency is exactly what many people were pointing out in this story. We have heat waves that are becoming increasingly challenging for electrical systems. Air conditioners run almost non-stop. Electricity demand raises dramatically, and grid operators often ask consumers to voluntarily reduce usage during peak hours. These requests are not typically about forcing people to live a certain way. They are generally aimed at avoiding outages that could affect millions of people. And whether someone chooses to follow that advice is, in many cases, entirely voluntary. And that is why this controversy has generated so much discussion. Many viewers are asking whether the outrage was really about thermostat settings at all, or whether it was simply another example of political messaging taking precedence over facts. And the story also reminds us why it's important to pause before rushing to criticize. This is a quick fact check and can sometimes reveal that similar policies have already been embraced by leaders across the political spectrum. Instead of turning every practical recommendation into a partisan battle, perhaps there is room for acknowledging when different sides arrive at similar conclusions. After all, keeping the lights on during a dangerous heat wave benefits everyone regardless of political affiliation. And this episode has become one of those rare moments where the internet collectively noticed a contradiction and was not afraid to point it out. So whether you are a supporter of Donald Trump, Zohran Mamdani, Greg Abbott, or none of the above, consistency matters. If a recommendation is sensible when governor makes it, it should not automatically become socialist when another politician says something likewise. And if someone opposes the idea on principle, that standard should apply consistently regardless of who is in office. You know, politics works best when ideas are evaluated on their substance rather than their source. And this story has become a reminder of how quickly narratives can unravel when people compare words with actions. So what do you think? Was the criticism of Mamdani justified, or did this episode expose a double standard in political debate? Just share your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this reaction and analysis, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss on future discussions on the stories everyone is talking about. Thank you. See you in the next video.